Hi, everyone. Once again, my name is Leon Chang. I'm the data visualization specialist at the Research Commons. This is a little bit of a different type of workshop. It's supposed to be very quick and kind of informal. This is all about the tool Canva. Canva is a very interesting, a very useful, powerful tool. It is used to create a lot of different materials such as slides, such as posters, flyers. Um, as you can see here, I'm right at the homepage. I registered and made an account, and this is the homepage and what it looks like. So if you go into templates, you can see the variety of materials that you can create using Canva. You can create social media posts. You can create invitations, cards, resumes, PowerPoint presentations, not PowerPoint presentations, but presentations and slides, things like logos, posters, flyers, infographics, brochures, even things like lesson plans and worksheets. So hopefully there's really something here that is useful for you or that you can utilize within your own project, research, academics, personal life. This tool definitely isn't very data visualization specific, even though that's kind of what a lot of the work I do. So today really is super informal, just me talking a little bit about Canva, what it can do, why you might want to use it, what you should use it for, why you would want to use Canva over other tools, and then kind of demoing some of the capabilities. I'm going to create a quick flyer using one of the templates and modifying it and adding photos and showing you some of the different features that you can change around. So once again, Canva is this tool that allows you to create all these different types of materials. The real strength of Canva, the reason why you probably should be using it is for its diverse templates. And so you don't have to create things from scratch. You can get an idea, you can get inspiration from the massive amount of templates that are available in all these different mediums, and kind of just tweak things around, change photos, change colors and add your own twists to things that have been already kind of set up for you. So a lot of the initial creativity, initial brainstorming, grunt work is done for you. And so if you have ever used, say, PowerPoint templates, it's a little bit restricting. They're kind of a little bit boring. So Canva is really a good alternative to something like PowerPoint for creating slides or for creating a poster or a flyer because of the number of templates it has and the number of templates you can really explore. So yeah, Canva, other kind of strengths of Canva it has lots of different functionality. It's pretty user-friendly, lots of customization, templates again. There's a library of images, a library of graphics, icons that you can utilize as well. So while you can create your own, it's definitely very helpful to have this library that you can just search for keywords. So if you are doing we're going to be creating a poster, events poster, and so it's going to be about say cancer research, we can kind of type in research or cancer research and pull up some images, stock images that we can use, and we know that we can use for free. One other thing I want to talk about is the free aspects of Canva versus the professional or aspects of Canva that you have to pay for. And there are definitely some limitations. So we'll kind of maybe talk about that as I demo this and kind of show you all the features. Once again, questions. I know this is, I know you're definitely going to have some questions for me. I'm going to try to make this, again, as quick as possible. And at the end, maybe if you could kind of, write down your answers, and we'll go through some questions at the very end to make sure that any questions you have about this tool are answered. And once again, I'm free if you want to email me about this afterwards. That's totally fine as well. Okay, so just to kind of get started on how you might use this, I'm just going to demonstrate a events flyer, events poster. You can definitely use this for if it's in a more academic setting. This is a good alternative to PowerPoint. So I think the best place to start really is looking at the templates. Because probably most of us will be utilizing the templates and not starting from scratch, even though you could start from scratch from a blank slate. So if we take a look at templates, and I'm just going to click on the templates tab up here. These are all the types of categories of mediums that we can kind of create. I'm most interested in flyers or posters. So I'm going to go take a look at that. There's a bunch of different keywords I can search by. So the one that I actually kind of want to utilize is a fundraising flyer. So I'm actually going to put that fundraising. But I'm going to utilize it as an events flyer. So this is the one I can, again, look around, see what's interesting, see what inspires me. Once again, I can switch around some of these photos. I can change around these colors and adjust the content. So I'm going to be holding, I'm in charge of creating a flyer for an event, for a talk. And so this particular template looks interesting. I can see the size of it is 5.5 by 1.5 inches. So maybe I want to take a look at this particular template. So I open this template up. This is what it looks like. So there's a front and a back to this template. Here's the front, here's the back. Maybe I'm only interested in this one sheet, right? So I can, for example, I'm just going to get rid of the second sheet. There's some options here on the side. So I can tell immediately here that there's an image that is watermarked. So this means that I would have to pay for this in order to use it. And I'm not really using this for this particular image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can upload an image and replace an image. So I'm going to change some of these colors. I'm going to change this photograph and add some of the content here to show you, how to go about utilizing this template. And so this talk is going to be about, say, cancer research, OSU's cancer research. It's going to have a bunch of faculty giving a talk about this topic. I can definitely Google images dealing with research or cancer research, or I can utilize things like the photo library within Canva. So here's Canva's photo library on the left-hand side here. I can search for a bunch of things, research, maybe cancer, and I get some, interesting photos that some are useful, some are not really useful. I can tell what I would have to pay for. So here, some of these images say pro and have the little crown, and that means I would have to pay for them. I'm gonna probably just put research here to give me a little bit more broader, generalized images. So maybe this looks here. This is a free image. It looks like it might be appropriate. So I could actually drag this image and simply replace the watermarked image I have here. And I'm just gonna scoot it up just so it covers everything. And so this is a super easy way to replace some of the watermarked images I would normally have to pay for, with some of the free images that Canva has. I can also upload images. So if I go to a free stock, photo site. So let's say here, I have some pulled up. So Pexels is one of them. Unsplash is another one. And I put something like research. So these are free stock image sites. And maybe some of these will look interesting. So I can actually download this large photograph here, save it onto my computer, and I can go back into Canva, go back to Canva here, go to uploads, and upload this image. So I already have some images here uploaded, but I can show you, I'm going to upload the image here, upload media, device. Then right here is the image that I just showed you before that I grabbed from the website Unsplash. It's loading it up. Hopefully it loaded. I should be able to just drop it in like that. And then I can just double click it if it's a little bit off. You know, if I want to kind of expand it, I can kind of make some adjustments to it. So I can actually click on this. Right now, I think it's black and white. And so up here, you can adjust the photo. You can add different effects. So you can kind of play around with some of these options up here. You can crop it, more effects. I can flip it around if I want to. So there are definitely some photo manipulation that you can do here that's a little bit more rich compared to, say, PowerPoint. I can also just go directly into these text fields and just change them. So maybe I don't want this let's build homes. I'm just going to delete it. Right now it's grouped, so I'm just going to ungroup it first, and maybe I just want to delete it out. And maybe this is a TDAI cancer research talk. By OSU faculty. So maybe I can easily just replace some of this text to the text I want. Maybe I want to include things like the people who will be talking. So photos of the people who will be talking. So I can add things like under elements, there are things called frames. So if I want to have circles, I have 3 speakers, OSU professors, say, or researchers, and I want their photos as part of this poster, events poster. I can put in these frames. So here's one frame. I'm just going to shrink it down. And I can just have 3 of these frames. I'm just making copy and pasting right now. I'm using some shortcuts, but you should be able to just copy and paste just like that. Control V, just like that. So these frames will allow me to go back to my, here's my uploaded photos. I uploaded some headshots of some people, and I can actually just drag and drop into these frames. And then I'm just going to double click to kind of do some editing. So it's as simple as drag and drop with some more, maybe some more intuitive editing features compared to, say, PowerPoint. And if you wanted to, you could definitely do this in something like Photoshop or even Illustrator or InDesign, any of the Adobe products. But I think those tools are definitely a little bit more complex and hard to get into, and you might not have access to them. And this is a nice and kind of simple web-based tool. So I think that's one of the advantages to using this over, say, PowerPoint or any of the Adobe tools. So that's how these frames work. There are a lot of other different elements that we can play around with in terms of shapes. For example, if we wanted some, we could put, if we wanted to block out some text here, we could do that and place some text over this, for example, over this image, and we can grab some text elsewhere and place it and make adjustments like that. And this text, again, is easily adjustable. You can change the font. You can see there's some fonts that you have to pay for, and there are a lot of fonts that are free. One of the advantages, so if you want to use a custom font, for example, you're going to have to pay for Canva Pro. So that's one of the features that you'll have to pay for, and that's kind of limiting. So you're going to have to basically utilize the free fonts that Canva offers if you don't want to pay for Canva Pro. Again, lots of different options here, changing the color of the text. making it bold or italic, changing the size here. Just center justified, left justified, right justified. If you want to make bullet points or add different effects, you can also do that here. So very similar to PowerPoint. I think it's just a little bit more powerful, and just being able to see the templates gives you a big advantage over PowerPoint in terms of being creative and utilizing already pretty aesthetically pleasing graphics and templates. So that's elements, different elements. There's some icons here that you can utilize as well and just drag and drop into here and resize. And it looks like you can even change some of the colors here. So definitely a lot of different things to play around with. And once again, if I wanted to go to another website, so this is Noun Project. This is a free icon website resource. And so if I wanted to say, find an icon of a lung, I could do that and then download it and then upload it into Canva here and place it. So I can definitely utilize some of the assets, some of the photos or images or icons that I've already created or from elsewhere and kind of put them in here as well. Okay, so talk a little bit about the photo collection, what's free, what's not free, the fact that you can just search for different photos or icons or elements. We talked a little bit about frames here. There's also charts, so very simple charts. So here's a little bit more of maybe data viz related materials. So this is definitely a very simplistic data visualization type of tool. So as we can see here on the left, you're basically doing this very manually. So, or you can paste the data from the spreadsheet. So it's a little bit on the crude side, but you can go ahead and create some infographics out of this. And there's some good infographics templates, for example. So I can actually go back. Let me go back and show you some of the other templates that are available in terms of other things besides flyers and posters. So there are infographics that look like this that we can kind of take a look at and adjust. So let me take a look. You might be interested in utilizing this infographic. So we can get a sense of how big it is. It's 800 by 2000 pixels. We can go ahead and use this template. And if we want to go in and change things, we're going to have to kind of do it manually with some of these more simplistic bar graphs. So if we hopefully, yep, double click this, left click it, we can kind of manually change these very simple infographics. And all these colors, again, I'm just clicking on this big rectangle. I can change this to a different color if I want to. I can even do some animations as well. So, I mean, I haven't really shown you all the aspects of this. You can put in a video, you can add textures and backgrounds to this. So we can definitely, add a texture to it and make some adjustments here. Obviously, there's some visibility issues here that we're going to have to clean up if we want to use this particular background. And last of all, I guess there's some organizational aspects to this. So if you are working in a team and you're creating several different presentations or flyers and you want it to be very consistent and you wanted to organize it by projects, you can utilize these folders and put in some of these templates and projects that you're creating into folders to kind of organize them and share it with other people. And there are aspects to this. So you can say commentate, let me see, it's here. You can add some notes to this. So take a look and review. So you can add some notes to this and send it to a coworker or colleague to take a look at and make comments and make changes. Some of these team-based features that might be more important in, say, a marketing team. They are definitely paid features. So you would have to pay for Canva Pro. And so just to give you a sense of the how much it costs. I believe for an individual, it's about $3 a month. And for a team of say 5, I think it was something like $12 or $13 a month. So just be aware of the cost for some of these features. I know some of these features are kind of buried inside. So obviously the library of photos, the library of elements, some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. Let me think, is there anything else that I want to show you? There are a lot of other options I haven't really touched. I think the last thing I want to show you is how to kind of export this. So if you've created something that you want to say, I created this infographic and I want to put it into my PowerPoint. This is a little bit too big vertically, but say I wanted to put this into my PowerPoint. I can go ahead and actually download it or export it as say a JPEG or a PNG file or a PDF. And I would just download it like this. And so it'll save it onto my computer. I'm just going to open it up and this is what it would look like. So I can definitely save out these assets, these graphics as JPEGs, PNGs. So PNGs you would use if you have any transparency in whatever you're creating, or PDFs. So there are a couple options here to export these and then utilize them in other tools like PowerPoint. Here's the kind of the little pop-up that will come up if you are trying to utilize a paid feature, a Canva Pro feature. So there is a 30 days free trial. So you can kind of utilize this to create and use some of the pro features and pro assets that are available. I think that's about it that I want to show you. Hopefully this made sense and you have a good idea of what Canva is capable of and how you might be able to use it in your own work. I know this is Canva is super broad. It's used by marketing teams, but it could be used also for PowerPoint presentations and in the more academic research sense. So I think right now it's already 25 minutes. I want to open it up to any questions people might have about this tool. I know this is definitely very quick introduction demo. Let me kind of go to the chat to see if we can answer some questions that people might have. Give me a second. Okay, I'm looking at the questions. Okay, so one question is, are the tools and the output accessible? So yeah, you just have to create an account. It can be a free account, and utilizing some of the free photos and making sure you're not utilizing any of the watermarked, any of the paid photos or assets. You can definitely export it as a JPEG, PNG, or PDF and use it however you want. Is there an interface to InDesign and Photoshop? So not that I know of. So this is definitely, if you are familiar with InDesign and Photoshop, I do not believe there's any native interfacing or compatibility. Once you've created your image, your whatever, your infographic, your poster, it's kind of locked in, right? It's within the Canva environment, the Canva tool. So if you want to adjust things, you have to go back to Canva. You can't adjust them. You can't create something in Canva and then move it into Photoshop or InDesign and start customizing it even more or adjusting some of those elements. So that's definitely a downside. But this is a downside with also a lot of other kind of more proprietary tools. Who can have access to Canva? So again, free tool. You can just register with an email. I do not believe that OSU has a license, although maybe some of the OSU departments or teams have individual license. So I would imagine maybe OSU's marketing team has a Canva license, perhaps. But if you want the Canva Pro, the full license version, I don't think there's any obvious way to kind of get a hold of it unless you just want to do the 30-day trial or pay for it yourself or have your department pay for it. So, and I don't think the fully licensed tool, a Canva, subscription tool is on any of the computer labs, for example. So, are we able to buy the paid version so that we have access to all? It would have to be on the individual level or asking your department for funding. It's definitely, yeah, there's definitely a cost to it. But again, like you can bring in other assets from other resources. So you can go to other stock image, stock icon resources and bring them into Canva if you want, or create them yourself and then bring them into Canva. So there are ways around it, but we are currently using Visme and we love it, but it's not actually a university approved vendor. So we are supposed to try to start moving away from the platform. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't really have any insight into particular tools that kind of are approved by OSU besides some of the some of the Adobe tools that already are licensed and OSU pays for and are on some of the computer lab computers. So I'm not sure I can give you any specific insights into that. What about meeting accessibility requirements? Very good question. Accessibility equals able to be used by people with disabilities. That actually is a very good question. I'm not sure about, I'm not sure about some of the accessibility features of Canva and if it has any specific accessibility features. I'm going to have to kind of look into that. From what I could tell initially, I honestly don't see anything that accessibility features that could help people with disabilities use this. So that that might be an issue. There might be some kind of third-party tools to make it easier to use any web-based third-party tool that would help with this, but I haven't seen any accessibility features that Canva has created for the tool itself. So that's definitely a question that requires some looking into. So the university does not have a pay for Canva account that I know of. There is no way to ensure OSU brand guidelines are met through the free version, correct? So this is a good thing to know if people don't know. Here is the OSU brand website. You can definitely, so I didn't talk about this. There's no easy way to just mass import the brand guidelines and colors and text and fonts and logo into Canva that I know of, but you can, let me see here. You can obviously go back to the branding website and then identify, say, the colors and pull in these specific colors. So this specific scarlet red has a hex number that we can pull in and utilize as the color template for some of our work here. So let me think, where is it? It was somewhere here where I could kind of create a color palette and based on some of these hex numbers, and I could just basically make it easy to pull in some of these colors and apply them to change some of these colors to be OSU colors for the Canva templates. So there's a way to do it. I think it's under this brand kit, if I remember correctly. But there are some Canva Pro, some paid features of this. So I don't think it's a super straightforward way of doing this. It would have to be done manually, going back to the brand guidelines and kind of manually putting in some of these assets to make it easier. Let me see some other questions. Yeah. So the Noun Project and Unsplash, there are only two of many, many free resources out there. there are free icon resources. There are resources for stock photography. There are resources for kind of 3D renders. There are resources for a lot of different other assets. So I'm just mentioning like 2 out of hundreds. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about them, do a Google search. But I also have, you can email me if you have more specific needs for specific types of photographs or icons or logos or things like that, because there are a lot of resources that it's hard to list all of them. And if you have specific needs, I can probably kind of direct you to a more specific resource. And it's also important to note that some of these resources, you're going to have to cite them. You're going to have to give credit to them. And so this is actually really important. They might be free, but you might have to say where they're from, who created them somewhere. If you're going to publish this, or you're going to utilize it in your own graphic, your own infographic or slides. Someone is asking, in order to upload to a message, say an announcement of a new venture, so that it shows as soon as the email message opens, how would you export JPEG, PNG? So this is, I think you're asking how do you put in an image that you created in Canva into an email so that when you send it out, someone opens it, they can see this image. So you would just create it in Canva. You would export it as a JPEG or PNG, either works. And then you would just put it within the email, in the line of the body of the email. And so if you use Outlook, there's some feature to just upload it and put it in the body of the email. So that's probably the method you would use. So how do you upload to Facebook or Instagram? So Canva is a very marketing rooted tool. So you can definitely create social media assets and graphics and collages and photographs and directly connect to your Facebook or Instagram account. Maybe you have maybe you're in charge of the OSU library's Instagram or Facebook, and you're using Canva to directly create something and then upload to it. You can do that, yes. Let me see if I can kind of bring it up. I haven't connected, I don't think I've done it myself, but let me see. So here's something, this is a presentation. You should be able to share it here. So right now, see y'all. So here's Twitter. There should be some other links. There should be an Instagram here, I believe, but it might just because this is a presentation it's a little bit finicky. Oh, it looks like you can also share to Microsoft PowerPoint. So it would be interesting to see if there's any compatibility, if you can adjust some of the assets after you've created a slide deck in Canva. Can you actually adjust it in PowerPoint? I actually did not see this. But this is how you would create something and then share it directly on an Instagram account or on a Facebook account or on a Twitter. I think you would utilize one of the links here. Other questions? Can you share the websites that you found free stock images and icons? Yeah, I can. In a follow-up email, I can list some of the free resources that I've mentioned and maybe a few others as well. How do teams work with free accounts? So I haven't actually really explored too much of this. I know that some of the Teams features are behind the paywall. You would have to pay for Canva Pro. So I don't know the specific of what Teams features are behind that, but I can definitely explore that and get back to you if you're interested in some of the team collaborative tools with Canva. Each person shares the same account. I think in the collaborative version, in the paid version, you don't have to. Each person would have their own accounts, and you would be able to somehow communicate within Canva to collaborate and make changes and add notes and things like that. someone is asking, are there Adobe products that we have access to for free as OSU faculty? So definitely in the computer labs, if you're able to, I know right now it's probably not the best time, but a lot of the OSU computer labs do have the full Adobe suite, whether or not you want to use Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, any of the others, Premiere. So otherwise it would be a lot more difficult. I think you would have to pay for it. There might be a discount if you're a student or faculty or staff, but yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to utilize and learn and use the Adobe products because of that. Any copyright issues? Doesn't look like the templates say Canva anywhere. So none that I know of. So if it's free, you can use it however you want. But obviously, there's some of the images are watermarked. Some of them you have to pay for. I would probably have to look a little bit more detailed. The ones that you pay for, do you have to cite them? I would guess not, because you have paid for them. But I might have to look into the fine details in terms of if you use an asset for publication in a publication, what does that mean? What does that in fine writing? Do you need to reference it or cite it or do something else for it? I know I have a lot of questions and we're kind of running over time. Let me try to finish a few more questions and kind of cut it off and kind of follow up in emails if I need to. If you have a question that I didn't answer, and I can probably follow up more easily through email. Just a few more questions. How do you make a logo smaller if you upload it and it's too big for space? So you should be able to just upload it, put it into your templates or whatever, canvas space that you're using in Canva, and then you should be able to just select it and shrink it down. It should be just as easy as that. Selecting it, placing it, selecting it, and then shrinking it down. There should be handles to shrink it down. How does this work with university branding? So there's no direct, easy way to do it. You have to go back to the university branding guidelines and kind of pull in some of those colors and upload those assets, the logo, OSU logo. I don't know if OSU has an official Canva account, maybe through marketing, but definitely nothing available for people who just want to use it. As an OSU, student or faculty or staff, I don't know of that particular situation. I'm not sure about creating a QR code. I would have to kind of look to see if it has that feature. Are there e-learning templates? I think it really depends on how you're defining e-learning. There are definitely templates for different types of slides and kind of PowerPoint types of presentations. There are different templates for worksheets. And these are more like the physical printout worksheets, nothing more, I think, digitally appropriate, I guess, for e-learning. I'm not sure about the specifics though. Okay, so someone's asking about changing sizes. So if you use a template, it's 5 by 8 inches. How do I change it into, say, 8.5 by 11? So this is one of the really annoying pay features that they've implemented, I think. So if you use a template, it's 8.5, it's 5 by 8. There's no easy way to quickly resize that to 8.5 by 11. You would have to pay for it to do that, or you would have to just create a blank sheet, customized blank sheet at 8.5 by 11 and recreate those assets from that template. So this is one of the things that it's a little bit annoying, and I haven't really explored enough to see if there's a way around it. but it's called, so if I go to, I think I had opened, let me see. I had opened up, no. Here. So there's a web page that shows like what's the difference between Canva Free and Canva Pro. It's right here. And it's called Magic Resize. This is the tool that, this is what you're talking about, using a template and being able to quickly resize it to you know, some other size, and then retain those elements, right? Retain those assets. Obviously, you would have to do a little bit more tweaking and customization, but this part is called Magic Resize, and that's the feature you're talking about. That's behind this paywall. So the way around it is that you would have to customize a blank sheet and kind of recreate that in the new size, unfortunately. Okay. So Holly wants me to mention that you can reserve Research Commons computers remotely for the Adobe project. So this is something I actually didn't know of. But if you are interested in using Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, you can reserve Research Commons computers and then just use them remotely from your home. Okay, Brian's saying that as staff, if you're a staff, you can download the Adobe products from a specific OSU website and then use them on your personal device. And he mentioned that faculty can do this as well. And you can definitely do it on university-owned machines. And this is the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. So I know we're a bit over time, but if you have any more questions that I didn't answer or couldn't get to, please just email me and I can definitely follow up with more specifics. But thank you for coming. Hopefully you learned something about Canva, and yeah, hopefully this is a series. Hopefully this will be a series of kind of shorter demos of kind of some free tools, some open source tools that you can use for some of your design work, for data visualization and other things as well. So thanks for coming.